Welcome to a special 15-year anniversary episode of Stories from the NNI. I'm Lisa Friedersdorf, Director of the National Nanotechnology Coordination Office, or NNCO. This afternoon, it's my pleasure to welcome Jennifer Miller. Jennifer is a senior studying Nanoengineering and Materials Science at UC San Diego. In addition to being an undergraduate student, Jennifer is also the Chief Technology Officer of AAAS, a startup that develops flexible batteries for medical wearables. She also serves as the president of the Nanoengineering and Technology Society, NETS, a student-run club at UCSD that is part of the national network of student groups called NextTech. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us. To start us off, could you tell us a little bit about how you first got involved in nanotechnology?
First, thanks for having me. To answer your question, it's an unusual story. When I was in high school, maybe 16 or 17 years old, I first realized that I was almost eligible to vote. I then realized that I should be somewhat politically aware of what's going on, both on a national level and in the world, and have a scope of kind of the grand scheme of things. So I decided that when I opened my laptop to Chrome or Safari, it was completely useless to me to know what websites I frequently visit. So I instead switched the homepage to be a news source, New York Times, Time.com, Wall Street Journal. And this idea was that as I go to different websites throughout my day, I would be able to catch a glimpse of the headlines going by. Understandably, the headlines are not enough to understand what's going on in the world, but I thought it would be a good start. Months go by, and all of a sudden, a couple articles about nanotechnology show up, and I start actually reading the full article, not just the headline, and it caught my attention. Then when I was applying to colleges and universities in my senior year of high school, I had that in the back of my mind. When I was applying specifically to UC San Diego, there is a nanoengineering degree here. So I clicked that as the option for my preferred major, knowing that engineering is considered to be a capped major here so that they only let a certain number of students in. I got admitted, came to UC San Diego, didn't really understand what I had selected as my major, and then got involved in research.
Looking at just your activities as a student and as an engineering student, you've been really active in extracurricular activities. Can you talk a little bit about how you've been able to leverage these experiences? And I believe you mentioned research in your opening comments. Can you talk about how you leverage these to really build new skills and learn outside of the classroom?
I think one of the things that I have learned over the past couple of years is that with each experience, there's a takeaway or a transferable skill that you can take with you. One of the challenges that a lot of incoming college students struggle with, or I guess anybody who's young to a field may struggle with, is this idea of you need experience to get experience. That the people who are more experienced in a field will get hired into a position or be selected for doing research and the like. And if you keep applying yourself to different positions and trying to find opportunities for yourself along the way, somebody will take a chance on you and give you a shot at the position. And with each chance that you get like that, there's an opportunity to learn something about yourself and also an opportunity to learn a new skill set. And so when I first learned that I got accepted into the undergraduate research position, I took that as an opportunity to learn, how do I conduct basic research? How do I develop those introductory research skills and gain some hands-on experience? And then as I moved to working at a small startup, I started picking up on things in the business world, learning about ROIs or return on investments in conjunction with the engineering work that I was doing as well.
So I think that your comment about you need experience to get experience, I met with a young entrepreneur last week who has recently graduated and has been looking for a job in industrial design. Amazing, amazing young man. And I think that he's encountered that as well, is that a lot of the positions require some sort of experience beyond what he got in school. And he's been advised recently to volunteer, to find an internship, to work in some capacity outside of the classroom in order to get this experience. You mentioned that you're working with a small business. How did you move into this opportunity for this company that you now serve as a CTO?
It was very much by accident. The backstory was that same research position that I had applied for that I was just describing. I worked there for about a year plus. I decided to study abroad for part of a summer. So I left and studied abroad for my minor, came back and returned to the same research lab and was trying to catch up on what happened over the summer. The graduate student that I was working with came to me and he basically said, I'm starting a company. Would you like to continue doing research or would you like to join me at the startup company? And me knowing that he needed to finish his PhD, told him, put me where you need me. You have a PhD you need to finish and you have a startup company. Put me where you need me. I ended up moving and joining the startup company, which is how I got involved there.
Can you tell us a little bit about the company and what you're doing there?
Yeah, so it's a startup company called Ateos. We are building flexible batteries for medical wearable devices. There are companies that have CGMs or continuous glucose monitoring devices that are currently powered by typical coin cell batteries. Our vision is that we can make a simple substitution for their battery technology. Inserting a flexible battery where there used to be a coin cell battery, we want to insert this flexible battery in future development plans for these continuous glucose monitoring devices and other medical devices, with the vision that these medical devices that are typically worn on the skin will be more comfortable for patients to wear compared to current generations that are rigid and inflexible. So along the way, that involves a lot of development of battery technologies. How do you come up with a electrolyte that can support the power requirements, the electrodes, the packaging? There's a lot of different elements involved.
When I was a grad student, the glucose monitoring for those types of systems was still in the research stage, and it was the project of one of my lab mates. So it's been really fascinating to watch how much that technology has changed over the years, and the battery pack, the power has been challenged since the beginning. So looking at flexible batteries as you discussed, or the energy harvesting technologies, I think is really improving comfort and compliance, I am sure. So that's a very interesting project. Can you talk to the current stage, your company? Do you apply for SBIR grants? Are you, what is the stage that you see your company in, and where do you see it moving forward in the future?
So right now we are still in development of the battery technology. Long-term goal for the next year to 2 years is to have a final product with contracts for implementation. We are currently applying for an SBIR grant. And in addition to that, we are working to raise rounds of seed funding.
Well, best of luck with your proposal and your fundraising. I wanted to talk a little bit about the student group. You currently serve as the president of NETS, and this student group is one of the groups that's part of the national network, Next Tech, which is intended to be a collection of student-run groups at universities and colleges across the country that's facilitated by our office. Can you talk a little bit about what your group does, how you engage with the national network, and where you see the value of doing this type of activity?
Sure. The student group is called NETS, which stands for Nanoengineering and Materials Society. And it really serves as a hub for a community of people interested in nanotechnology and nanoengineering at UC San Diego. And part of the reason for that is that nanoengineering major specifically in our department is pretty small compared to other majors on campus like computer science or biology. And so for students who are just walking around campus, meeting people, making friends, it's very easy to get lost in the crowd of the other students that are out there and feel kind of isolated. So the whole goal of NETS is to find that sense of community as well as professional development and career planning. NETS also belongs to this larger umbrella organization, NECTEC. It really serves as a basis for understanding how student organizations run and operate and a way to share ideas between similar types of student organizations. So on one university campus, while understanding how room reservations or what you need to be a registered student organization may be the same for the organizations on that campus, understanding the ways in which the discipline works and operates has a much broader scope. And so connecting with students on a national scale can be incredibly helpful to share those ideas.
So you attended the Student Leaders Conference last year, which is a gathering of representatives from these student groups once a year in collaboration with Tech Connect. Can you talk a little bit about your experience at that meeting and your interactions both with the students and with other professionals?
So last year, the conference was hosted in Anaheim, which was very convenient for San Diego students to just drive up for a couple of days. We attended both the larger conference as well as the student leadership section. And I personally had never been to a very large conference before. And so for me, that was very eye-opening to just see professionals in the industry interacting and sharing ideas about their research, as well as accumulating this knowledge base and network for each other. But for the student network specifically, I think one of the really lasting memories I have of that event was a panel discussion in which there was a professor, Sabine Mthadu from UC Riverside, who was there. So he was a blast to just talk to, but he gave us some really good advice as students. He told us every company has a board of directors for a reason. That board of directors is there to provide advice and guidance and support for the company. In the same way, every person in their professional career should have their own board of directors, quote unquote, basically a group of mentors that you can turn to for that direction and guidance and support at different turning points in your career. And I had never made that analogy myself before, but Dr. Mthadu pointed this out, and it totally just shifted my focus in the way I think about career development, not just as I am graduating and looking for what comes next, but also looking at this longer spectrum of my career over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 plus years, having that mentorship all the way through. And so that was one of the biggest takeaways for me from the conference last year.
I want to thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Do you have any closing thoughts that you would like to share with our listeners?
Have passion, have persistence, but take that with caution, because you don't want to be so passionate and so persistent that you turn people away from, what your potential is in your career. You want to be not overly pushy. You want to be encouraging in your persistence with things.
Thank you for joining us today for this special 15-year anniversary edition of Stories from the NNI. If you would like to learn more about nanotechnology, please visit nano.gov or email us at info@nnco.nano.gov. And check back here for more stories.